Welcome everybody to part 3 of my testimonial about the 1990s GATE program and my subsequent pursuit of justice. My name is Adam Hamer, and as you can see, it's a nice day in sunny Los Angeles behind me. Where this all began in terms of the legal program, the legal process, the pursuit of justice is what we're going to talk about today, aka the Privacy Act. And we're going to start with this. This is the initial template for the Privacy Act that I wrote and created and filed with multiple agencies, which is what led to the production of all this and a bunch of other Privacy Act files that are about my persons, the GATE program, non-consensual human testing, and a litany of other outrageous subjects. Anyways, that's why we're here today. We're going to go over some of this stuff. So, I'm going to read this to you. Again, as I stated, this was my template that I wrote and shared with multiple agencies, okay? It says, name, date of birth, place of birth, residence, medical, psychiatric care. Specifically, I'm seeking any Specifically, I'm seeking any records of my inclusion, enrollment, or involvement in U.S. government programs, research projects, or sub-projects related to psychiatric or neurological experimentation, trauma studies, or child subject recruitment. To narrow the search, please include, but do not limit to, the following projects and sub-projects: MKUltra Subproject 73, Psychiatry Neurology; MKUltra Subproject 119, Bioelectronic Signals; MKUltra Subproject 136, ESP/Sensory Trauma Studies; MK Search Continuation Contracts 1980 to 1996, Project Talent Child Recruitment/Screening; Project Monarch Trauma-Based Disassociation Research; Project Phoenix 2 Neurological Trauma 1980s to 1990s; Project Often/Chickwit Pharmacology/Neurology; Project Stargate, Sunstreak, Grill Flame, Center Lane, DIA, CIA, Psy, and Neurology 1970s to 1995; DARPA contracts related to neuropsychiatry or brain-computer interface research, particularly through the University of Arizona and Davis-Monthan Air Force Base from 1988 to 1996. Please conduct a search of all relevant record systems, including human subject files, contracts with the University of Arizona, and medical or intake records from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base and affiliated psychiatric facilities in Tucson. These records concern me directly and are needed to verify medical history and potential unlawful government experimentation. This request is not academic. It is a personal privacy act request. Personal privacy request under the FOIA/Privacy Act. If any part of the requested material is exempt, please release any reasonably segregable portion. Sincerely, my name, address, and contact. Anyways, I filed that with a number of different agencies starting at the end of August last year. I filed it with the CIA, the DIA, subsequently the DNI, Department of Defense components, the Army INSCOM, the Air Force, and to this day, I received a variety of highly concerning responses regarding that filing, including the citation of unusual circumstances from the Defense Intelligence Agency on that topic, the ignoring of that filing by multiple components, and the refusal to produce any files on that topic at all, aka violation of my rights under the Constitution, both in the context of what occurred and in the context of rights production under the Privacy Act. My files were not produced. That applies to the Army INSCOM, that applies to the Air Force. It applies to the CIA, actually, because what the CIA said is actually even weirder. They responded with a bunch of fucking nonsense, okay? So they cited national security, national defense exemptions after pretending not to speak English, I kid you not, pretending not to understand what the fuck it is I said, and wasting my fucking time for months on end, which are easily displayed by the records I have. So first I'm going to show you this Defense Intelligence Agency record. That's about me. That's about the SAP programs. And you can see right here it says unusual circumstances. And you can see here it's about my person's and any and all records pertinent to my person's research SAP projects which are related during the years of 1988 when I was born and 1997, okay? Now, keep in mind, this is the same as what I just read you, that same initial template. They made me fill out additional subsequent info about this. And the additional info, I specified some of the traumas that occurred to me. I specified how this was facilitated through the GATE program, and I specified a litany of other additional details. They still rephrased it to choose one sentence from one of the supplemental addendums I filed with them asking for clarification, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but a common intel strategy when intel agents have the lower hand in a situation is to ask someone to clarify to them what exactly it is they mean. You see, why do they do this? They do this because they have the lower hand in the situation. They know they've been caught red-handed. Otherwise, they would have turned over these files long ago and not cited national security and defense exemptions and unusual circumstances. Because what unusual circumstances? Obviously. That aside, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, I will continue on talking about how the CIA likes to pretend that they don't speak English and how the DIA likes to rephrase things to try to conveniently favor their skew on reality. Oh, I do remember what I was going to say. I was saying why people ask you for clarification under military or intel agencies. It's because they want the upper hand again. And so by asking you to clarify what it is exactly you mean, they can then take time to recollect, you know, in this case, burn the files, recode them, hire Boozow and Hamilton executives. Oh, hold on a second. What is it, buddy? What is it, buddy? Oh, that's a gardener. You're good, buddy. It's okay. I got doggy buddy. It's my little homie. It's my rescue homie, Bella. Bella, we good, buddy. It's okay. That's the gardener, bud. Yeah, we good. Anyways, I'm going to continue. She thinks that the gardener might be a CIA agent, but we know better. He's not. He's a gardener, because the CIA probably aren't even capable of doing gardening. They're not, you know, capable of understanding basic English. So here, I'll demonstrate that for you. So you remember that, what I just read you about my initial filing with these agencies, okay? So in regards to who I have dubbed MUGATU, who is the information coordinator or the Privacy Act head at the CIA, he likes to pretend that he doesn't speak English, this Mr. Steven. So here's his fucking dumbass response to me, dated, you know what the fuck date this is even? Bro, this dude is fucking, I don't know, look at this shit. Okay, check this out. This is fucking ridiculous. This shit is dated, look at this, March fucking 4th, 2026. I filed this shit with them. This is off the initial filings I made, like literally early September. I started in late August, but I filed a litany of stuff, and that filing that I read to you was filed both late August and early September, depending on the agency. If I recall correctly, the CIA received that one, I think on the 30th of August, possibly early September. Either way, it's definitely one of those two, but the dates that he references here don't correlate to anything. So look what he writes. So he writes, this makes no sense. This is what I mean by this fool pretending he can't speak English. And this is a deflection strategy to buy his ass more time, because he's trying to burn my files and recode them with Boozow and Hamilton executives, which I'll get to. Anyways, dear requester, on the 8th of January 2026, the Office of the Information and Privacy Coordinator received your 23rd of November 2025 correspondence providing the information requested in our 23 of September 2025 letter to you regarding the request referenced above. Any special access program or special compartmentalized information projects involving my person's ESP as an extrasensory perception or anomalous mental phenomena, which we went over yesterday, in the 1990s and now. And then this fool goes on to just like talk a bunch of fucking bullshit. Okay, that's my initial filing privacy request. This dude's like in statutory default months late. So now on April 6th, I get a letter from this dumb fuck that says, dear requester, this letter is a final response to your 20th of September 2025 Privacy Act request seeking all records on yourself, blah, blah, blah. Goes down, this fool cites a fucking alphabet. Down here, where he cites all the alphabet. Anyways, the legal system's fucking bullshit, and what this actually means is they have my files and they're withholding them under person-specific exemptions. J1's the CIA's God mode exemption to exempt them from having to follow through or comply with anything. K1 is a person-specific national security exemption saying, yeah, we got the files on you, but, you know, they're national security, so, you know, you might have been abusing the GATE program, and we know it, but we're not going to give it to you because K1. And then they like to cite B1 and B3, which are FOIA exemptions related to national defense, which also confirm that files exist, because you see to cite these exemptions under the Privacy Act, which is actually separate from FOIA, person-specific files required to exist. So to cite K1, B1, B3 is not actually a GLOMAR as they pretended it was here. See, that's why he likes to pretend that he can't speak English, because he's a little snake. So, you know, this is why I sued this guy, because this guy should not have this job. This is a job that calls for somebody with integrity, honesty, and as an actual victim and survivor of the programs that fool was protecting, well, he can ask himself, in regards to the lawsuit I filed, why I sued him, and then reread this dumb fucking shit and know the answer. Then we go on to more bullshit from my favorite fucking wannabe Mugatu, aka Stephen Glenn, information coordinator at dumb fuck agency. Anyways, don't ask me why this is torn. I'd have to get into the occult now, and that's a whole other video. We're getting there. We're getting to Manchurian candidates, assassins, black magic, the occult, voodoo, psychic assassins, voodoo warriors. Don't worry. We got time. It's gonna be a whole series, like I said. So anyways, let's continue. The first one relates to, this is the number, P205-01184, okay? Then we have P2026-00205, which again, he writes this nonsense. On January 8th, or 8th of January 2026, the Office of Information Privacy Coordinator received my 23rd November 25 correspondence providing the information requested in our 23 of September 25 letter to you regarding the request referenced above, any SAP or side projects involving my person's ESP in the 90s and now, as in Special Access Program, Special Compartmentalized Information, Extrasensory Perception in the 90s, or anomalous mental phenomena, psychoenergetics, etc., as we talked about yesterday. Okay? The dates he cite here make no sense and don't correspond to anything. I don't know what he's talking about. But we've already established that he has no credibility, and that's why he was hired for this job, because his only obvious talent is being a snake who likes to obfuscate truth, and he clearly wasn't subject to these programs, because if he was, he wouldn't be protecting these people like he is. See, he just wants his pension, and he wants to abuse the legal system to get away with exploiting people like me who were abused in childhood and adulthood by enterprises like them to extract valuable data to create a lot of different things, ranging from weapons to valuable neural research data. Right. Oh, that's the cleaning dude. That's the cleaning dude. That's not the CIA, bro. That's not the CIA, bro. Anyways, that's a joke, because it might be the CIA. Just kidding. My tinfoil hat's not on tight enough. Anyway, it's cool, buddy. It's cool. Come on. That's the gardener. Thank you, buddy. Okay. So, after that nonsense reply, which just basically is a repeat of the same bullshit he wrote before, he repeats the same alphabet soup nonsense. All right, buddy, we cool. So he repeats the same alphabet soup nonsense again. Okay. J1, K1, B1, B3, wannabe Glomar. It's not a Glomar. Belly, stop, please. It's cool. That's the gardener. You gotta be respectful. Thank you. Anyways, we got the garden soup of alphabet here. Unacceptable. Nonsense. This means you have the files, and you classified them as national defense and national security info, and you reiterated exactly what you stated in the first letter, which is absolutely fucking bullshit. And a waste of my time and your time. And also, again, like I said, it's fucking stupid. Anyways, where should we continue? There's so much fucking bullshit that has to do with these people and their actions. I cannot even fucking... Yeah. Anyways. Here's another one from that initial letter that I read to you from the CIA. Same bullshit, pretending to be a Glomar, redacting the original letter, trying to write that it's me just requesting info, any and all info on myself. That's not what it was. That was that initial letter I read you. This fucking weirdo deleted all that to try to gain a upper hand on the narrative because he wants to control the narrative because they're guilty of crimes. It's a crime for them to withhold these files, and they fucking know it. It's a violation of what's called the crime fraud exception, which means it's a federal crime to use classification to cover up evidence of crimes, which obviously the citation of person-specific exemptions on files that shouldn't exist relating to MKOFTEN continuation programs are such. Anyways, continue. God, these people make me so fucking mad. Anyways, let's look at some of their defaults. I filed more with them as relates to, later on, behavioral modification, SAPs. And these were not replied to in the time required by the Privacy Act, and instead I received this letter where he pretends not to speak English, asking me to clarify, which is a technique. It's essentially a technique for him to try to gain the upper hand in the narrative. He wants to seem like he knows what he's talking about, and that I should have to explain myself when he knows damn well what's going on, and that he's withheld my files illegally, and that's not right, and that's not legal. That aside, he took way more than the legal time limit on this, defaulting on this file, meaning he has this file. He also assigned it a number. So defaulting and assigning a number on it means he missed the legal deadline. Records mishandling means you have files related to any and all my persons related to behavior modification. Okay, so now I'm gonna read you this request I made to them. Privacy Act filing. My person's record search against the following criteria: any and all SAPR PSY, WERWOLF or domestic equivalent military unit programs, GLADIO, domestic equivalent programs, i.e. GLADIO USA, my father, Arthur Thomason III, in Cavalry Church and Special Access Programs, or SAP. The details of the headsets and radiation protocols SAIC subjected me to in SAP. What happened to the SAP dataset and criminal videos of the abuse? Does Palantir or D-Wave hold these videos with QKD, quantum key distribution, encryption? Search with them and any and all contractors to determine this, as the files exist unequivocally. Brain irradiation, non-human intelligence, I'll get to that in another video. Stimoceiver, MASINT, human control systems, biomechanical, neuro-ST, brain surgery, skunkworks, Zulu Shield, Cradle Mutwa, marionette programming, Jose Delgado legacy research, Tokoloshe, Zumbi, Haitian voodoo, occult, ritual, and any unnamed programs which match a system of records hit on my persons. If it exists, I demand procurement of the files on my persons. Okay? So, long time goes by. He doesn't reply. He pretends not to understand me. He defaults on the file and then asks me to clarify. Meanwhile, that means he has these files. Meanwhile, I filed the same exact topic with the DIA because, I'll get to the because in another video. But here's the same filing with the DIA. I redacted a little bit of the info at the end in this filing to them about Cradle Mutwa and voodoo and occult. So that only went to the CIA who defaulted on this. But you see, DIA cited unusual circumstances, which means they have the files too. And you had to consult with different departments to figure out what happened. And they ended up closing this in bad faith. I never got a final determination on this. And the CIA, on the same file, defaulted, which means they have it because they're in legal violation, and I clearly stated in the original request it was about evidence of crimes committed against me as a child by them, which can't have that. It's not legal and not right, and I won't stand for it. Anyways, yeah, I think that's a good place to end this video today. This is a lot for me to really talk about and deal with. There's a lot more Privacy Act files I would like to share with you, and I'm going to, but honestly, today I wanted to talk about that and how fucked up the CIA's conduct as relates to, first, doing this, and second, the Privacy Act. It's not acceptable. These agencies, DIA, CIA, they're out of control, rogue agencies. Same with the INSCOM, the Air Force. Why haven't they replied to my initial filing? That filing is disgusting. Why have I not received a Privacy Act reply on that? Oh, I know why. It's because, which I'll get to later, when I sent follow-ups to Army INSCOM, they took the follow-up, which cites MONARCH and STARGATE and MKOFTEN by name, and talks about successor programs in the context of what I was describing. They routed it to the Military Police Department, MCOM, and then defaulted on it. They declared it an emergency, then went dark. Says it all, really. And I don't like that because I had to experience it firsthand. So I'll give a little more context on that last file I just read because there's a lot to unpack in there. But I'm gonna make a whole episode about the radio werewolf, the werewolf program of the SS, Reinhard Gehlen, his relationship to the OSS, the CIA, the NSA, NATO, the development of stay-behind units, what exactly a werewolf means, how a werewolf relates to the pop culture idea of a Manchurian Candidate and a program multiple, and how a werewolf relates to what the Sapin Psi layer gate were really doing on certain individuals such as myself, and how that relates to an overarching plan that involves a lot of society and a lot of psyops and a lot of psychological warfare on our society that's undergoing, that is undergoing right now, or that is going on right now. Anyways, that's a good place to end it for today, and thank you for watching, and I'll be back to share more of case with you and share more files with you. But honestly, it's just disgusting and sick to have to deal with people like this. Like, because one, this person had, I believe, if I'm not wrong, you get 20 days on the Privacy Act to reply legally. It's not the FOIA, it's a different law. I'm legally entitled to these files. It's about government accountability, so you don't do anything wrong. So this dude and all these other agencies had 20 days to reply. And if you cite unusual circumstances, which is what DIA and other agencies kept citing, another agency, I'll get to that later, that means they have responsive files to the initial request, and they have to go look through a bunch of them because it's a hit on the system of records. So the fact that they cited that doesn't give him an infinite amount of time. It just confirms the files exist. It gives him, I think, 10 more days. That's what I'm pretty sure it is. So they blew past that limit. Like, they acknowledged, just as I understand it, they had these files. They acknowledged that they're classified national defense info. The files on me non-consensually participating in these programs that range from psychoenergetics and anomalous mental phenomena, essentially torture programs, and neurology, dark neurology, brain manipulation research, all the way to what I just read, Werewolf and GLADIO USA. And I'm gonna just go into detail on that more in the future because that deserves its own episode. But man, this whole situation, man, and the idea that this dude at the CIA has access to all this info and he's acting this way is really offensive and disgraceful and treasonous. This dude, why I call him MUGATU, is because Zoolander is a satire about trauma-based mind control, and not a very good one. It's a pretty stupid one. It's mostly functions as a form of it itself in a kind of dumb way. But MUGATU, as you know, is a satire of a MK Ultra Monarch style programmer. And see the scene where Derek Zoolander is electroshocked and goes into hypnosis for, a key example of that. Anyways, the CIA person who's actually in charge of gatekeeping the real files on these programs, and has also revealed the existence of them inadvertently by heuristic behavior analysis and his misconduct. Yeah, it's really gross, because he honestly isn't even on MUGATU's level, and MUGATU's a fictional trauma-based mind control program. This dude is literally a clown. He pretends to not be able to speak English. He doesn't do his job. And he just lies and lies and lies to try to reframe the narrative so he can have the upper hand, because that's all the CIA is good at, is just committing crimes, abusing children, and then trying to cover it up and burn the files by hiring ex-Booz Allen Hamilton executives to run the CIO at the Pentagon so they can launder and miscode all the legacy program data. Because yes, my story intersects with non-human intelligence and UAPs and the Skunk Works Black programs, and yes, I will be getting to that. That's where I'm going to end today's video. And to everybody, I hope you have a good day. And to the guy at the CIA who wrote this, fuck you.